There are PR disasters. And then there are legacy-ending implosions. What Meghan Markle just experienced wasn't just another tabloid blunder or awkward product misfired. It was a cultural reckoning. When one of the most respected voices in the world, the 99-year-old environmental titan Sir David Attenborough, tells you, publicly and without hesitation, don't use my name. The game is over. Before we go further, make sure you subscribe, because stories like this, they're not just news. They're signals, warnings, and they reveal exactly who's rising, who's falling, and who's about to lose it all. So what exactly happened? Let's start at the top. Meghan Markle had been teasing the launch of her new lifestyle brand as ever for months. Billed as eco-conscious, sustainable, mindful, a brand that reflected all the buzzwords Hollywood elites toss around when they want credibility without the accountability. It promised everything from luxury jam to curated orchard vibes, with soft tones, handwritten fonts, and enough aesthetic fluff to make Instagram blush. But behind the soft lighting and recycled packaging lay a glaring problem. There was no substance, no products, no proof, no clear values, and now, no credibility. Because when her team quietly started suggesting Sir David Attenborough had inspired the brand's environmental philosophy, the backlash wasn't slow, it was immediate, and it came straight from the man himself. Sir David Attenborough, for avoiding drama, respected across political lines, and celebrated by environmentalists and royals alike, had enough. His reported response was short, stern, and surgically precise. Don't use my name. Those 4 words shattered what little illusion remained that has ever had the backing of serious voices in the sustainability movement. And for Meghan, who has made a career out of borrowing glow from more respected names, it was a devastating blow. Sir David didn't just issue a quiet statement. This was a full stop, a line in the sand. And when he speaks out publicly, especially against an individual, it's never personal, it's principled. The credibility collapse was instant. Critics who had quietly side-eyed Meghan's brand now had proof. As ever, wasn't eco anything. It was celebrity greenwashing, cloaked in buzzwords and bathed in privilege. Think about it. What kind of sustainable company launches without inventory, claims to be mindful but clings to luxury aesthetics, invokes the name of a 99-year-old conservation icon without ever contacting his team? Meghan didn't just misstep, she exploited, and the public knew it. Within hours, the internet exploded. X, formerly Twitter, and TikTok trended with hashtag Don single quotes, to use my name, and hashtag Sir David speaks. Influencers who once posted their as ever gift baskets went silent. A-list celebrities who had previously supported her other ventures, Reese Witherspoon, Oprah's circle, quietly backed away. No one wants their name tied to a brand that had just been eviscerated by Sir David Attenborough. But it wasn't just a marketing blunder, it was a pattern. Meghan has made a career out of wrapping herself in the glow of others. She's referenced the Obamas, quoted Princess Diana, dropped Oprah's name, and of course, leveraged her royal title at every turn, even after publicly rejecting the institution. This time, though, the tactic failed. Spectacularly, Sir David's rebuke didn't just strip away the illusion, it pulled the curtain back entirely. It exposed the hollowness of a brand built more on aesthetics than ethics, more on proximity to greatness than the actual work required to build something real. And for the first time, it wasn't a tabloid or a random critic calling her out. It was a global icon, a man who has been honored by royalty, admired by scientists, and beloved by generations. Behind the scenes, panic set in. Sources close to Meghan's team revealed what many had suspected. As ever, wasn't ready for launch. The product rollouts were half-baked. Logistics were a mess. Stock sold out in minutes, not because of demand, but because there was barely any to begin with. And Meghan's spin machine, it went into overdrive. She told audiences we were able to pull products forward. Translation: they weren't ready at all. And now, the attempt to pivot the narrative fell flat. Because when you're caught referencing a 99-year-old global icon without permission, spin doesn't work. It just makes the betrayal look worse. And while Meghan stayed silent, publicly no apology, no Instagram statement, not even a denial, her silence was louder than words. The staff exodus followed swiftly. People magazine confirmed it. 4 senior staffers left in a matter of weeks, and they weren't the first, reports show. Around 20 people have quit working for Harry and Meghan since their move to California. This is a brand that was supposed to embody wellness, purpose, mindfulness, but internally, the chaos was mounting. Employees were burning out, feeling misled, and questioning the credibility of the entire operation. Even new hires from tech giants like Google and Netflix, who were brought in to bolster the brand's image, quickly realized the foundation was crumbling. And the reason was simple. Meghan wasn't building a business, she was curating a fantasy. And when reality came knocking, it all fell apart. The royal silence was deafening but deliberate. Buckingham Palace made no statement. They didn't need to, because David Attenborough isn't just a national treasure, he's a royal ally. A trusted voice who worked closely with both Queen Elizabeth II and King Charles III on environmental causes long before they became Hollywood chic. So when he spoke out, insiders say the palace was quietly satisfied. No need for royal intervention when someone like Sir David makes the point louder and clearer than the firm ever could. And it sent a message one that couldn't be missed. That even Britain's most respected figures were done entertaining Meghan's self-promotion tactics. The internet didn't hold back either. Comments flooded in like a tsunami. She tried to use a legend to sell jam. She faked eco-consciousness for clout. Sir David said what we're all thinking, and worst of all, for Meghan, people started laughing. Because there's nothing more lethal to a brand than ridicule. Once you become the punchline, it's almost impossible to reclaim authority, especially when the ridicule is coming from people you tried to impress. And let's talk about the real problem: manipulation. Critics didn't just call this embarrassing, they called it unethical, using an elderly conservationist's reputation to lend credibility to luxury jam and flower sprinkles. That's not admiration, that's manipulation. There was no collaboration, no permission, not even a heads up. The Attenborough reference was slipped into promotional materials as if it were an endorsement. And when confronted, Meghan's team didn't even attempt to defend it, because they couldn't. It was a credibility grab, one of the most shameless in recent celebrity history, and it backfired. Even Meghan's allies began backing away. For years, Meghan Markle's public image was buoyed by a glittering support. System Hollywood heavyweights, social justice influencers, and wellness brand celebrities. But in the wake of this scandal, that glow dimmed fast. Influencers who had once proudly flaunted their as-ever gift baskets on Instagram were now declining to answer questions. Celebrities who'd previously championed Meghan's work were silent. No one wanted their name tied to a brand that had just been publicly rejected by Sir David Attenborough, and in a city obsessed with optics, silence is betrayal. When the ones who once clapped the loudest for you suddenly have nothing to say, it's not just distancing, it's abandonment. And this isn't just about jam, it's about identity. Meghan's brand wasn't selling products. It was selling her values, her narrative, her curated life. But that identity is now under scrutiny. The soft lighting, the handwritten fonts, the sustainability, it was all part of a performance. A carefully orchestrated image meant to invoke mindfulness, grace, and social consciousness. But when the curtain was pulled back, what people saw wasn't authenticity. It was theater, borrowed prestige, borrowed narratives, borrowed causes. And now, even the borrowing is being rejected. And it raises a deeper question. How many times can someone spin before the thread breaks? The British press has long accused Meghan of manipulating narratives, but this wasn't a tabloid hit piece. This was a direct, indisputable rebuke from one of the most respected men alive. This wasn't a lawsuit she could bury, or she could ignore. This was a living legend drawing a line and doing it with dignity. Sir David Attenborough didn't yell. He didn't rant. He just said, "Don't use my name." 4 words. And yet the impact was seismic. And yet Meg said nothing. No statement, no apology, no clarification. And that silence? It wasn't strategic, it was paralyzing. Because Meghan knows the usual playbook wouldn't work. There's no photo shoot that can repair this. No pastel-colored Instagram quote that can shift attention. You can't spin your way out of a rejection from Attenborough, you just can't. And her team knows it too. PR experts say they're scrambling behind the scenes, unsure how to craft a response that won't invite even more backlash. Because when the backlash is rooted in truth, even the best publicists are powerless. Retail analysts are sounding the alarm. As Ever was already on shaky ground. Its launch had been mocked for its lack of inventory, confusing product promises, and vague brand messaging. But the Attenborough scandal? It sent investor confidence and public trust plummeting off a cliff. Industry insiders are now openly saying what many feared. Without a radical overhaul, Meghan's brand may not survive. They're not talking about cosmetic changes either. This isn't about swapping fonts or repackaging the orchard aesthetic. This is about credibility, and that's something money can't buy. To rebuild trust, Meghan would need to issue a public apology, explain the Attenborough incident, demonstrate real environmental transparency, and above all, stop faking it. But if history tells us anything, it's that Meghan prefers rebranding over reckoning. And that's the real danger here. The cycle? Meghan launches something. Critics raise eyebrows. A PR moment goes wrong, she vanishes, then re-emerges with a new font, new photo shoot, new storyline. But that playbook has limits, and she may have finally hit it. Because this time, the damage isn't just superficial, it's reputational, it's ethical. it's public, and Sir David Attenborough, he isn't just any critic, he's untouchable. To go against him would be suicidal for a brand. To ignore him is cowardly, and to pretend it didn't happen is foolish. Which leaves Meghan with few options, and none of them look good. Even the public is catching on. There's growing fatigue with celebrity brands that sell lifestyle over substance. Consumers want authenticity, not aesthetics. And Meghan, once hailed as a symbol of modern royalty and feminist empowerment, now risks being seen as the ultimate performative brand. Think about the optics. A woman who married into one of the most powerful institutions on earth repeatedly claimed she was a victim of that institution, then leveraged her royal ties to launch a sustainable company while quietly exploiting the legacy of a 99-year-old environmentalist who never agreed to be involved. It's a story that writes itself and not in her favor, and while the media world watches, so does the palace. While Buckingham Palace maintains its traditional silence, royal insiders have reportedly expressed quiet satisfaction. After all, Attenborough has long been close to the crown. His decades-long environmental work alongside Queen Elizabeth II and King Charles III isn't just symbolic, it's substantial. So when he distances himself from Meghan's project, it's not just a rejection of her brand. It's an alignment with the firm, and that's what stings most. Because for all her talk of breaking free from the royal machine, Meghan is now watching as the very cultural voices she hoped to woo are falling back in step with the monarchy. This isn't just a scandal, it's a stain. Years from now, when people look back on Meghan Markle's public ventures, this moment will be a defining one. The lifestyle brand that misfired, the environmental icon who spoke out, the 4 words that silenced an empire of spin: don't use my name. Every future project she launches will come with questions. Who's really behind this? What legacy is she borrowing this time? Is it authentic or just aesthetic again? Because when credibility collapses, it doesn't rebuild overnight. Especially not in a digital age where nothing is forgotten and everything is archived. This wasn't just a misstep. It was a warning shot to anyone who thinks influence can replace integrity. Even her carefully controlled family narrative is starting to fray the scripted social media posts. The back-of-the-head photos of Archie and Lilibet, the heavily edited footage of orchard walks and organic breakfasts, it all once passed as charmingly private. Now it reads as calculated. Critics and former allies alike are asking a hard question. What's real, and more importantly, what's not? Meghan's refusal to show her children fully while using them to promote a brand has only fueled this conversation. Viewers feel played. Audiences feel manipulated. And for someone who built her new image on empowerment and transparency, that's not just ironic, it's destructive. And where does this leave Prince Harry? The man who walked away from the royal family to protect his wife and children now finds himself tied to a crumbling public persona. He didn't mention Attenborough, he didn't endorse as ever, but his silence, just like Meghan's, is now part of the problem, because as her husband and her closest public ally, every scandal that touches her touches him. And slowly, the once sympathetic couple is becoming a cautionary tale. Meanwhile, Sir David Attenborough remains unshaken. The man whose gentle narration once defined entire generations now defines something else: boundaries. His calm but firm rejection proved that no one, not even royals or celebrities, gets to hijack someone else's legacy without consequence, and the public loved him for it. He didn't need a press tour or a teary interview, just for words. And with that, Meghan's illusion of credibility cracked. So what happens next? Insiders say, as ever, we'll try to continue. Maybe they'll rebrand. Maybe they'll pivot to something new. Maybe another celebrity endorsement will pop up to wash away the memory. But something's changed. The audience has seen too much. They've seen the cracks, they've seen the manipulation, and most of all, they've seen who Meghan tried to use and how completely it backfired. The question now isn't, will the brand survive? It's, does the public even want it to? If you've had enough of borrowed legacies and branding without substance, then don't just scroll. Subscribe, because the truth matters. And in a world full of spin, we're here to call it out. Stay informed, stay sharp, and remember, credibility isn't something you borrow, it's something you earn.